to the Talent Optimization Podcast, the go-to podcast for CEOs and HR professionals wanting to bridge the gap between the strategy and tactical implementation of talent optimization within their organizations. Through interviews, predictive index, and personal experience, your host, Tracy Shirk, helps you discover the facets of talent optimization from both a CEO and HR perspective to truly create the dream team for your organization. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Welcome to the Talent Optimization Podcast. My name is Tracy Shirk, and I'm the Chief Talent Officer here at Elevated Talent Consulting. And this month, we are chatting a little bit about, preparing to go back to school, what that means for us in our family life and in our work life. But going into the fall always is like, all right, we're going into fourth quarter, we're getting everything set, we're planning to close out this year in an amazing way. And so as we were doing that, we wanted to share a little bit with you, our listeners, about kind of what we've been doing here at Elevated Talent Consulting over the summer with one of our interns and how important talent pathway planning and, internships are to ensuring that you have the capacity inside your organization, but also, paying it forward very specifically with that training and that knowledge and experience to the next generation of leaders. So with me today is Patrick Casola, and Patrick is an intern with us this summer that has been working specifically on the back end of our marketing. So we have some amazing courses coming out that you will see launch in September called our Hire program. And this is a 6-month program really focused on how to build an HR department from the ground up, relating to how we set our employee value proposition, how we share that, how we, hire individuals and then onboard them through the organization. And that's what Patrick's been working on. So Patrick, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So I'm just super curious for you. What have you been doing all summer?
So kind of as you were saying, my big role was being on the back end of the marketing aspect of Elevated Talent Consulting. So I've been working a lot with Active Campaign and just kind of diving into email automation.
Yeah.
And getting familiar with the tagging system here. So
yeah, that's awesome. And one of the things that, I really want our listeners to hear is when we look at internships, what is the purpose of this? And so, whenever we do something, we need to look at what is the cost to our organization and does whatever we're doing to solve it actually solve the problem? Because if there's not a cost, there's not a problem to solve. And when we look at internships, what is the problem we're solving with internships? Well, we're solving a pipeline problem into our organization, and we're helping to develop that next generation of leaders, which I said earlier. So, one of the things that I would love to hear from you, Patrick, is what has that experience been like for you from, hey, when you were looking for an internship, when you found us, how we got connected, what did that look like?
Yeah. So I would say searching for internships was really expansive. When I saw this opening for Elevated Talent Consulting, I was so excited because it was specifically for marketing. And that's definitely like what I want to do for my career. So I was really excited about that. When we got in touch, I was really excited because you were really detailed about the role and what I would be doing here. So I think that was just a really good introduction of what I was going to be doing and kind of like the plan was for the summer.
Absolutely. And when you first looked at that role, was it a flat out job description you read, or was it more something that was tailored to you reading it and going, oh my gosh, that sounds exactly like me. I need to find out more.
Yeah. So I would say it definitely tailored to what interested me because I was seeing examples of like LinkedIn, posting on LinkedIn. This podcast was something I was really interested in. Working with email marketing. So that definitely ignited my interest for sure.
Absolutely. In your work styles, one of the things that we always look at when we hire individuals into the organization is we look at what does the job need and who is the person in the job. And, that's two sides of the same coin, right? And what's so important is that we attract the right person that is going to have a match between what the job needs and who they are. And we knew that this person needed to be analytical. They needed to be process oriented. They needed to be detail oriented. They needed to be all the things that I am not. Right. And so when you read through that initial job ad, did you see that in there without it specifically stating that?
Yes, absolutely. everything that was listed in there, I knew that'd be a good fit for me because it was, as you said, very analytical structure, which I like a lot.
Awesome. So, for those of you listening in, that is one of those key things that's so important when we're hiring is that we're speaking directly into what the person needs so that they read that job ad and go, oh, this sounds exactly like me. I want that, right? Versus the job description that, I look at a job description and kind of say like, that's like the nutrition contents on the side of the box of Wheaties where the job ad is like Tony the Tiger. Is that Wheaties or who's Tony the Tiger? Is he Wheaties?
Frosted Flakes. Right?
Oh, they're different, aren't they? Who's on the front of Wheaties?
I'm not sure. I don't think I ever heard of that.
You never heard of Wheaties?
No.
Oh my gosh, I'm aging myself. Okay. Anyway. So with that, so you found the internship.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Pretty much I was in contact with another member of the team. And then that was kind of like an introductory interview. And then from there we got in touch and you were not necessarily an interview, but you were just telling me more specifics about the role and what I'd be doing here. Mm-hmm. So that was a really great introduction, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And why did you say yes?
Why did I say yes? Because I really liked how this role was going to be marketing specific. And I know we talked about how we might be interchanging roles a little bit. I know you said I might be starting with email automation more, but I could be switching to maybe a little bit social media. So I was really interested to see like what different roles I could be taking on here.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Very cool. So what was your onboarding like?
My onboarding, of course, I was a little nervous starting here. I think any intern would be nervous starting at a new place, but I really liked it because our onboarding process started a couple weeks before I actually came here. So it was really nice to meet the team, just kind of understanding the values and what we're working for here. And then coming here was just a really easy transition, I thought.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So we call that period of time pre-boarding, and in that pre-boarding period, well, let me ask you a question. And I know you're not there yet. So you're going to give me a funny look, but for our listeners, when you first got engaged to your partner, if you have done that, or I want you to think about that, when you first get engaged, what happens between the ring on the finger and the marriage date, right?
Like what? The wedding.
Yeah, you have to plan the wedding, right? But what happens so often between when you get a job offer and when you start on the first day is crickets.
Right.
And so that pre-boarding period is so incredibly important to ensure that the planning's in place. But also, how did you feel during that period, knowing that there was definitely some touch points?
I definitely felt good. I didn't feel like there was any cricket moments. I definitely felt in the loop and just ready to go. I was excited to come here.
Awesome. So how about orientation?
Orientation was really good. When I first got here, meeting you directly was really nice. And you kind of walked us through our first week in really specific detail, which was really helpful. And just kind of leading us for the rest of the summer. I thought it was really helpful.
Right. So tell me about, one of the things that about you, and by the way, like as you're listening to, this internship conversation, but also kind of a full, hey, from posting the position all the way through, is ensuring that your orientation and onboarding is tailored specifically to the individuals that you're bringing on, right? So for you specifically, Patrick, for listeners, Patrick is a craftsman. So if you follow PI at all, you'll know what that means. And it's essentially an individual that is analytical. They like to lead through a team. They're a no agenda, no attenda type of an individual for a meeting. They're pretty process oriented and detail oriented as well. So that's like the quick skinny. If you want to know about you, there is a link in the show notes where you can take that and see who you are. We're happy to chat about that too. So, but with you, Patrick, I knew that you needed to know what the plan was at the high level. And you wanted to know, what are my deadlines? When do I need to meet them? What resources do I need to get that, right?
Right.
And so you had the whole 12-week plan laid out of what your deliverables were every week?
Yeah, I think 15 weeks actually.
Yeah. And how did that work for you?
I think it worked really well. I mean, of course, some things are subject to change, but for the most part, it stayed like exactly on time. It was so helpful for me to understand my deadlines of what I need to accomplish each week. So overall, it was really helpful for me.
So were there a lot of surprises that came up?
I wouldn't say a lot of surprises, to be honest. Of course, a deadline might be changed here and there, but nothing too crazy for me, I don't think.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And did that allow you to work to your strengths and really allow you to be successful?
Yeah, for sure. Because as we've been saying, I'm super analytical and I like structure. So I think having those set deadlines and what I need to accomplish, that just makes me work even harder because I know what I need to do and when to get it done.
Absolutely. Awesome. And so, when we look at that, your orientation, your onboarding, I'm just going to flip for a second here for our employers listening in to say, okay, so you've got an intern that you brought in, you're kind of training them on what that looks like and what you need. And of course, with internships, it's so much about training, but there's also benefits that we get as an employer, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, you are the one that knows the most about ActiveCampaign, which is our email automation system, than anyone on the team. And I know now Heidi is kind of starting to say, all right, teach me. So how does that feel to go from, the student to the teacher in a way?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I really enjoyed learning ActiveCampaign. It was definitely a great learning experience. And then going into it brand new and then being able to help my other team members is really exciting. I definitely feel like helpful in the workplace and like I can teach my other coworkers how to work with it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so again, for the employers, all right, so we know that we have a pipeline that we need to fill for open positions and what that looks like. And as you're planning out, what is your hiring strategy inside your organization? How do you get that brand awareness out into your community? How do you get that pipeline coming in? Interns are a great way to do that. And, one of the things with Patrick is you're going to stay on at least through the end of the first semester, because I know you graduate in December.
Yes.
So, I guess my question for you is you're moving kind of from an internship into, I don't know, we haven't decided what we're calling this yet, but whatever that is for that first semester. But how has this internship really stepped you up for your next steps in your career?
Yeah, so I would say this has definitely been like a great stepping stone for me to dive into the world of marketing. This is something I've never kind of worked with before, the back end stuff. So I think that will just help me even be more prepared to look for more marketing opportunities. I can come in with the experience and just expand on what I already know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So for our employers listening, and especially our executives, what takeaways do you have for them from the internship point of view as they're looking at talent strategies inside their organization?
I would say it's definitely a great experience to have interns on your team because I think they're really willing to learn and want to help your organization. And I think it can only help your organization grow because you're just having more input and more help from other people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then, so when you think about, we're different here because we're an HR organization and we are HR, right? So it's like HR for HR, right? So with that being said, so for the HR professionals that are listening in, what kind of tips or takeaways do you have for them?
It's kind of hard for me to say because I'm very new to human resources.
Yeah.
But I've always been one to ask questions because I think that's how you learn the most. And I think that's how you grow the most. So I think really in any department, if you're struggling with something or if you need help, I think questions are always helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for being with us this summer and the fantastic work that you've done for us and for our clients. So every individual that's out here listening in, if you are not signed up for our weekly email newsletter yet, please do that. You can do that by either taking the predictive index assessment, or if you go to the podcast page on our website, there is a pop-up that you can put that in. And guess what? Patrick is behind that stuff happening in the automation. So, the work you do directly touches every single client that we work with. So thank you. So with that being said, we would love you to join our email list. And of course, give us a 5-star rating on the podcast channel of your choice so that we can continue to share how we are optimizing talent inside of organizations. And with that, we hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Talent Optimization Podcast. You'll find more tools and resources for CEOs and HR professionals looking to bridge the strategies versus implementation gap of talent optimization at elevatedtalentconsulting.com. We've also created a free, valuable resource for you to begin bridging the gap called the Talent Optimization Foundation Membership Program. You can access it for free at elevatedtalentconsulting.com/foundation. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode to learn more about talent optimization and creating a dream team for your organization.